Let's talk
Okay.
about the 3 acts of a trailer, because that's something people should understand. And then I want to know if TV promos also have 3 acts
Okay.
as well. So
Sure.
yes, please describe the 3 acts.
So 3 acts. I mean, basically, Act One is your trailer setup, and if you go watch almost any trailer in any genre, it'll have this really light music during the intro, if any music at all. Sometimes it's just some noises and things going on, but it's very light because every trailer, most of the talking that goes on in the trailer is going on during the first 30 seconds to 45 seconds of the trailer.
And is that
Most of the dialogue.
typical?
Yeah.
So it might lead off with, in a world, and then it
Right,
goes
yeah.
and then it goes into some dialogue. So they're setting up the
Exactly.
storyline.
Yep. So that's all during Act One, which means they don't want a bunch of music there. You don't want big orchestral things going on typically. It's going to be more like an instrumental TV cue where you just know it's going to have tons of talking on top of it, and you don't want, high-pitched things like hi-hats and cymbals and stuff going that are going to interfere with dialogue. And you don't want a ton of music. It's kind of a backdrop mood set for the whole trailer. That's kind of what you're doing, is setting up the mood. Then Act Two would be kind of your in-between, almost like a TV ad space kind of largeness, where it's kind of starting to sound like a big trailer, but it's not all the way there yet. So you
Okay.
might have some big percussive hits and some synths and things moving. That's kind of like the rhythm is going to kick in. You're going to really set the momentum and kind of drive for the track in Act Two. And that's kind of, there's still going to be a lot of dialogue in Act Two typically. And there's going to be a lot of one-liners in Act Two if you're doing like an action Marvel kind of comedy movie where they want
So
to stop
Act
everything.
One is the setup, saying this is what the story's going to be about, and Act Two is
Kind of part of the story, really. Yeah, you're seeing bits of the story unfold.
so its intention is to suck you into the story more.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Essentially. And so you're going to have the funny little comedy one-liners and stuff. So your music should have, room for dialogue, and maybe even a couple of breaks and stop downs where they can easily edit it. I mean, if you go watch a trailer, the music during Act Two gets chopped up so badly it's almost unrecognizable most of the time, because they're just cutting and doing all sorts of things with the video. And so that if you were to hear the music for almost any trailer without the trailer, you'd be like, this sounds terrible. I mean, it's just cut in the weirdest places. Once you see the final trailer, it makes sense and it all works. But if you were to hear the music, you could never create it that way. I mean, you'd have to be on drugs or something to create the music the way it ends up in most Act Two of trailers.
And is it
Really chopped up.
are the video editors who are typically cutting that music? Is it so weirdly chopped up because they don't care that much about the integrity of the music? They just need to work with picture.
Yeah, they need it to sound good for the picture in the scene. So they'll cut it right in the middle of a phrase. They don't care. I mean, it's the weirdest. The first time I heard music for a trailer without any of the dialogue or anything, I couldn't even believe it. I mean, it was chopped up so badly. And it's not like they try to do nice fade outs or anything. I mean, it is cut in the middle of a phrase, and then something totally different will come in, 3 seconds later. A different song even, from a totally different composer. So, yeah, I mean, it all gets chopped up. So Act Two, you want to make it in a way that it can be chopped up. That's kind of the idea.
That's got to
and
be
again-
horribly frustrating when you've put all this work into it and then you hear it and it's like somebody put it in a blender, froze it, and then
Yeah.
threw it in the garbage disposal.
I mean, honestly, I kind of don't care, because I don't get attached to it like I did when I used to write songs and things like that were very, personal to me.
Right.
All my music's personal to me in the sense that I love that creative process, but I'm creating it knowing where I'm sending this stuff and knowing what it's intended for. So I couldn't care less. If they want to chop 10 seconds out of it and use it in a promo and pay for that, go for it,
And I guess there's something to be said for if they find your music easy to work with, easy to chop
Right.
up, that, that's that guy again. Let me check out his thing
Right.
first because he was really
Yeah,
easy
for
to
sure.
edit last time.
Exactly. So
All
you
right,
get
so
through
yeah,
Act Two.
let's talk about Act
That's
3.
that's about the same length as Act One. 30, 45 seconds. So
Okay.
you're 2/3 of the way through the trailer, or halfway through the trailer at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And then Act Three is generally, and this is kind of true for maybe like horror and action movies more than anything. But that's your big bombastic, lots of sound going on. There's hardly any dialogue in this last half of a trailer. I mean, some one-liners, which they'll chop your music and just dead stop it wherever they want and stick a one-liner in and then resume the music. Um, but generally, that's all the action scenes flying past your face. It's like if you go watch a Marvel trailer, you can't even count how many scenes are flying past you. They're moving
Right.
so fast on these trailers. And so that's why they want the big drums and the big hits and things flying around on screen. They want the big epic music to fit these scenes that are just flying past you, and everything is big explosions, and everything's over the top visually. So the music has to be over the top to match it. Otherwise, it just sounds like this thin little weird music going with these big heroic scenes. So Act 3 is your giant. Maybe you'll have a little more melody in Act 3. Your main theme kind of music would be going through here, and the main build piece is in Act 3, and that's going to just build up to the climax, and then you'll have your ending after that. So, and that's generally twice as long as Act 2.
Oh, good to know. I don't think I was aware of that, so thank you for that information.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about something that I've noticed happening quite a bit in, I don't know, maybe the last 5 to 10 years, even more so in the last couple of years, which is like there's like a fourth act. It's like a coda that happens after the big bombastic explosive third act. Then there's a boom that's basically opens Friday or whatever.
Yeah, that's like the title card ending, right?
Yeah.
So you'll either have that, or you'll have a full-on over-the-top fourth act that's just like a little short, 4 measures or something like that, 8 measures even. That's kind of like a continuation of your Act 3, but maybe even a little bigger. And that's, again, using Marvel as an example, if you think of like those types of trailers, or even like DC movies, Wonder Woman, whatever, they build to that climax, and then it kind of all goes dark, and then they'll come back in and just have like scenes just flying across the screen, all the action cuts and people getting punched in the face and thrown out of windows, and these things are flying past you at lightning speed just for like 8-10 seconds. And so they'll want some big bombastic bit of music, like a big loud ending, and then that'll tail off and then come in with your little title card soft ending.